Newfoundland send another 100, newly departing reservists ready to serve the Empire. St. John's, Newfoundland, January 6th. Another draft of naval reservists from Newfoundland have recently left for England and are expected to arrive by January 15th. Among those on board the steamship HMS Telemachus is Captain Zachary Vey, husband to Mrs. Elsie Vey, president of the women's chapter of the Newfoundland Patriotic Association, or NPA, who has been instrumental in attracting volunteers to the war effort. With the latest draft, this brings the colonial number above the original quota of 600 men, which the Admiralty had requested. However, with the increased Teuton naval menace in the North Sea, the call for more men was issued. Additional reservists will soon follow the 100, once additional transports and weather permits. 97 men are lost on the steamer Hexagon. Among the dead were 8 Royal Naval Reservists returning home from being invalid. Canadian News Press Dispatch, St. John's, Newfoundland, January 6th. The armored merchant vessel Hexagon, which left Liverpool on December 27th, carrying a crew of 238, sank off the Grand Banks during the recent storm. Most of the crew managed to make it to lifeboats and eventually were rescued by the steamship Arkham, which was passing nearby on its way to Ireland. Tragically, however, 97 men did not survive, including Naval Reservist Cedric Saint-Amour, who had been returning invalid from injuries sustained in November of last year. The tragedy is all the more highlighted by the fact that Naval Reservist Saint-Amour leaves behind 12-year-old daughter Sarah, who is now orphaned due to her mother Inga having succumbed to tuberculosis in early December. Following is a list of the men of the Newfoundland Royal Naval Reserve who lost their lives on board the Hexagon: Stephen Baker, Albert Barnes, James Brace, Robert Courcelle, Thomas Coates, Enos Mercer, Cedric Saint-Amour, and Martin Saint-Croix. First white men to land on island: Canadian-British Northern Expedition along the Hudson Strait region. Bosma Island, little known, is visited by explorers and found to differ in position from what is marked on latest charts. Canadian News Press Dispatch, St. John's, Newfoundland, January 6th. Bosma Island, some 50 miles southeast of Akpatpok Island in Ungava Bay, south of the Hudson Strait, has long been charted, but not much is known of this little and nearly barren rock. An exploring party on board the Atlantic schooner Meanderer visited Bosma Island last August. Although Bosma Island was sighted by Captain Cook over 150 years ago and by other explorers since, it is reported that the recent expedition, consisting of members from the Canadian Charting Service and the Newfoundland Archaeology Society, are the first white men to visit the island. Members of the party have just begun to reveal their findings, one of which that Bosma Island is to be found in a position different than marked on current charts. During the 16-day exploration, the group found the island deserted apart from some Arctic geese and seals. In addition to being able in amending the position for Bosma Island on future charts, the expedition uncovered numerous fossils, and to the excitement of the Newfoundland Archaeology Society, which was led by recently retired school teacher and newly ordained Methodist preacher Joshua Reed, discovered the remains of an ancient Innu fishing village that was found to contain numerous glyphs and striking images carved into the surrounding sedimentary rock. A sketch of one of the images, which was taken by Mr. Reed himself, has been included below. A talk followed by a short question and answer will be hosted by Mr. Joshua Reed at the St. John's Methodist Church on Saturday, January 9th at 7 p.m. Admission is free, but donations are encouraged and will be accepted for the St. John's Archaeology Society. And below is the Bosma Island carving. Teuton submarine off the coast. Coastal Patrol reports numerous suspected periscope sightings. St. John's, Newfoundland, January 6th. The torpedo boat Yanis, which was patrolling along the eastern coast of Newfoundland towards Labrador, spotted what is suspected to be a German U-boat lurking in the Atlantic. Upon first spotting the periscope off the bow and stern of the Yanis, which was piloted by Captain Ryan B. Smith, they continued their course for nearly 20 minutes, noticing the occasional sighting of the periscope, indicating that they were being followed. Captain Smith then ordered for his vessel to change course and head directly for the suspected submarine, and was heard bellowing, "Ramming speed." Evidently, this did the trick, as the periscope vanished quickly under the water, and no more sightings of the undersea boat were reported for the remainder of the patrol. The Admiralty Office at St. John's has issued a statement for all merchant vessels to be extra vigilant during the crossing of the Atlantic. Foreign fishing company purchases processing facility at Flat Rock, St. John's, Newfoundland, January 6th. Ytterstad Fiskeri A.S. Kristiansund, a Norwegian fishing company, has bought the rights to the Clark Fish Processing Facility at Flat Rock, which was looking for a new owner after ailing J.C. Clark, who has no descendants and has decided to sell up after 42 years in business. There were other parties interested, most notably a cooperative of fishermen from various outports, which were represented by William Billy O'Brien, a board member of the Fishermen's Protective Union, FPU. However, the Scandinavian company won out. Although Mr. O'Brien wished the FPU bid had been accepted, he is not worried about the fishery or loss of jobs, but more concerned if the new owners are indeed from Norway. With all the intrigues and suspicions of the lengths that the enemy will go to, how do we know that this Norwegian company is not just a shell for the Germans, and all our fish are going to them? Exclaimed Mr. O'Brien. Seal blubber used in margarine? Another reason why butter substitute should be avoided. St. John's, Newfoundland, January 6th. The debate continues on whether margarine should be allowed to be sold alongside butter and be considered a viable butter substitute. As the colony of Newfoundland relies on almost all of its goods to be imported from Canada, the United States, and elsewhere, and with the rising costs due to the demands of the war, suppliers and consumers face tough choices on what to purchase. Recently, there have been reports that some margarine has been made with fats from seal blubber rather than the regular sources such as beef fat or vegetable oil. John Smith, proprietor of Red Squirrel Dry Goods at 76 Barters Hill and spokesman for the St. John's Business Association, mentions that the reality is that we, the business owners, have little control over what we can purchase and provide to the community. That being said, as I am part Innu, is that seal and whale blubber have been an important part of our diet, and its seal blubber in margarine should be no cause for alarm or alter the taste of this butter substitute. And this is the end of today's news.